In this video, we will be discussing the problem of edit distance. According to the InterviewBit website, this problem was asked in the interviews of Google, Amazon, LinkedIn, and Microsoft. In short, this problem is very important if you are preparing for technical interviews. We will discuss the problem statement, the intuitive approach to the solution, and we will gradually optimize the algorithm by seeing different types of dynamic programming solution applied to this problem. Watch this video till the end as I will give you a line-by-line simple explanation of all the code that we will be writing in this video. My name is Aditya Shenoy from BrainyThings, where I make programming simple and fun. YouTube statistics show that some of you who watch my videos are not subscribed to this channel, so if you end up liking this video, please consider subscribing. It is free and you can always change your mind in future. Edit distance problem states that given two strings, for example ABX and BCD, we have to calculate the minimum number of operations that we can apply on one string to convert it to the other string. The allowed operations are inserting a character, removing a character, and replacing a character by another. All these three operations are to be performed on the first string so that they match to the second string. We cannot apply these operations on the second string. All these three operations have equal cost, say 1 unit. So considering this example, that is ABX and BCD, intuitively, if we can see the operations that we can perform over here is to delete the A character, replace the X character by C, and then inserting the D character to make it match to the BCD. The number of operations that we require to convert ABX string to BCD is 3. 1 insert, 1 remove, and 1 delete. Now, how can we programmatically do this? Instead of focusing on the entire string, we should focus on one letter of both strings at a time, as the allowed operations are on characters and not strings. Let's consider the letters at the end, that is this. Now we have to decide whether we have to perform any operation on the last characters or not. To make you understand this statement, I will change my example to this. In this example, we do not have to change anything. We do not have to perform any operation on the first string to get this last letter G's result. In that way, we can reduce our sub-problem, and if we can convert this ABX string to BCD string, that will return the same answer to convert this ABXG string to BCDG string, because G is already matching, so we have to convert ABX to BCD. And so in this way, we have reduced the problem to this. But what if the last characters do not match? In that case, we have three options. We can either insert the last letter, that is D, of the second string to the last of the first string, that is ABXD. We are inserting D at the end. Or we can remove the character, that is just ABX will be deleted, and we can replace this X with the last character of the second string. So ABD, ABX will convert to ABD. Instead of keeping multiple copies of the string, the entire string, we just need to keep track of the indices, because we do not need to return the actual operations performed. We just need to return the number of operations that it will require for converting this to this. So instead of this, we can change our approach by keeping track of the index. So initially we have these two strings, and none of the letters of first string and last string has been resolved. Now we have three options as discussed. So we can either insert the character. In that way, we will be resolving the D letter. And by this, we do not actually need to insert the D character. If we reduce the index of the second string like this, that is, we have moved this underscore to this underscore, like we have reduced the index of the second string by 1. By that way, we know that we have inserted this character. The second option is to remove the character. So what we can do is we can do this and keep the second index same. In that way, we have not yet resolved the D character, but we have removed the X character. So this removal is denoted by reducing the left index, that is the index of string 1, by 1. And if we want to replace the character, what we can do is abx and bc underscore d. By that we mean that we have replaced this X character by D, but we do not actually need to change this character string. So if we reduce the indices of both the strings, that means we have replaced the last characters, and we have reduced this problem to smaller subproblems like this. So this approach is naturally directing us to a recursive solution, as we are solving smaller subproblems. But whenever we have a recursive solution, we should first think of the base cases. We will keep on reducing these problems until at least one of the string exhausts. This index will keep on reducing until it reaches the start of the string. If, for example, the first string exhausts like this, BCD, in this case, we have exhausted all the letters over here. And to convert this empty string, that is the string before the underscore sign over here, to the string before underscore of the right string, that is we have to convert empty string to BCD. We don't have any options left because we cannot delete or replace characters from empty string. So we can only perform 3 insert operations, and 3 is the length of the second string. So this is the first case, that is if the first string gets exhausted, the minimum number of operations is the length of the second string. Similarly, if the second string exhausts like this, again we can convert abx string to an empty string. There is no option of inserting or replacing. We can just delete these 3 characters, and again 3 is the length of the first string. So this is the second base case where the second string gets exhausted. The minimum number of operations is the length of the first string. Before writing the recursive code, you should first draw the recursion tree to check whether this recursive solution converts itself to a dynamic programming solution or not. The parameters of this recursion tree will not be the actual strings because we are nowhere changing the actual string, that is abx and bcd is remaining intact in the entire recursion tree. The only thing that is changing is the position of this underscore. So we will keep track of this position of the underscore. So initially, with the zero-based indexing, the underscore's position is 3, 3. So initially we will call this by 3 by 3. Then we have 3 options. Because this is not a base case, we have 3 options as discussed. In this first case, we are reducing the index position of second. In the second option, we are reducing the index option of the first string. And in the third option, we are reducing both this underscore's position by 1. What that means is we are first reducing the second index, that is 3, 2. Next option will be 2, 3. And the third option will be 2, 2. So this is insert, this is remove, and this is replace. Till now we have not yet found any overlapping subproblems. That is, these 4 nodes of the recursion tree is completely unique. But if we draw this recursion tree one more time for this next layer, for just one node, we will see this overlapping subproblems issue. So let's see by calling the 3 options again for this node. For the first option, the second index will be reduced by 1. So 2, 3 will become 2, 2. In this, it will be 1, 3, and this will become 1, 2, because we are reducing both indices by 1. Now you can see the overlapping subproblems. In this, we are clearly repeating 2 × 2 and 2 × 2 solutions. And if we expand this 3, 2 also, we will get one option as 2, 2. So we do not have to actually write the recursive code. Just by drawing this recursion tree, we know that this is a dynamic programming problem. Now, there are 2 options in the dynamic programming. One is memoization and one is tabulation. If you are not sure what these two types of dynamic programming are, I have made a detailed video on both of this. You can check out those videos in the iCard above and in the link in the descriptions. One is memoization and one is tabulation. We apply memoization when the entire recursion tree is not traversed. But in this case, the leaf nodes of this recursion tree will be 0, something or something, 0. So in short, we have to traverse the entire recursion tree before we get the solution. So we do not actually have to write the memoization code also. We can directly start writing the tabulation version of the code. We are not wasting our time to write the recursive code, then memoization code, then tabulation code. So we are directly jumping to tabulation code. There are some problems where the entire recursion tree is not needed. So for example, if I say that if we hypothetically reach a condition where these two indices match, we will return. In that case, we do not have to solve for smaller problems like 1, 2 or something like that. This is just a hypothetical case, but the entire recursion tree is not traversed in that case. So for those cases, we can apply the memoization method. For the purposes of the video, we will see all the 4 versions: the recursive code, the memoization code, the tabulation code, and the final space optimized tabulation code. Let's start by defining the naive recursive approach. So our function, I will name it as edit distance. It should take 2 parameters, string1 and string2. But as we know that these 2 parameters are not enough, we need to take help of the helper functions, which can take more parameters: str1, string2, strings1 index, which will be length of string1, and the second will be length of string2. This should be edit distance helper. Now this edit distance helper will take 4 parameters: string1, string2. These two strings do not change, only the indices will change: string1 index and string2's index. You should always remember that whenever you are writing a recursive code, you should first write its base cases. As discussed, the base cases of this problem is when the index of string1 or string2 reaches 0. So if this becomes 0, we will return the string2's index, that is the number of characters left in the string2. Similarly, if string2's index becomes 0, we can return string1's index. Also, we have discussed that we have to first check the last characters of both the strings. Now we know that there are some characters left, because otherwise these two if conditions would have got them. So there are some characters yet unresolved. So first we have to check the last characters of both strings. If they match, we can reduce the subproblem without any operation. The last character of string1, the last character means the last unresolved character, because we are reducing the subproblem. So this index will keep on reducing. If that matches to string2 index, string2 index, like this, then we can straight away reduce the problem, keeping the string same, but the indices will reduce by 1. Like this. So the last characters are already matching. So we have reduced both these indices and we are returning the number of operations that is required to convert the unresolved string to the second string. But what if the last two characters do not match? In that case, we will have three options, and all these three options will cost 1 unit of cost. So we will add 1 to the minimum number of operations returned by the three options. So we need to call this helper function 3 times. We have to calculate the minimum of these three operations, add 1 to it, and then return. Edit distance helper, string 1 and string 2 will remain the same. String 1 index, string 2 index. I will copy this to save some time. The insert operation will have this. The remove operation will have this, and the replace operation will have this. As discussed, like this. We will reduce the second index by 1. Then in the second, we will reduce the first index by 1. And in the third option, we will reduce both the indices by 1. Just like this. So this is the entire recursion code. We can test this by calling just the edit distance, because helper function will be called automatically. We can pass the same string as we are seeing from start. This code has given us index error because we are keeping track of the position of the underscore and not the actual last character. So to check the last characters, we need to subtract 1 from both the indices, because we are keeping track of the underscore and we need to find the index of the character behind it. So I will put -1 in both this and run the program again, and we will get 3 operations, and that is the correct answer. You can check for another cases as well. So if I do ABXG, PCDG, the G's will be removed by this, and again it should return the answer 3. Now, if you already have a recursive code like this and you want to convert that to a memoization code, what you can do simply is you can do the modification in this only. I will copy this and do the modifications over here. As we have seen in the recursion tree, we are solving overlapping subproblems, that is repeated problems multiple times. So to avoid that, instead of returning the value directly, we can store that. Where to store that? In a DP data structure, which will be a dictionary, an empty dictionary initially, and instead of directly returning that, we will first store that into DP data structure. Among these parameters, the string 1 and string 2 will remain the same always. So the key of this DP data structure will be string 1 index comma string 2 index. We can keep a tuple of these two values as the key, and we can store that result as the value of this key, and then we can return this DP like this. So what we have to do is we have to replace all the returns by this and store the return value into this DP data structure, and then return the value stored inside this. Again over here, and return this. Again over here, we'll first store that and then return that. Also, as we have changed this function parameters by including this DP, we have to include that DP over here as well. So we need to include the same DP so that the same copy of the DP is passed in the entire recursion tree, and we are storing the result for easy retrieval. So we need to first check whether we have already solved this problem or not. So before all this code, as the first recursive base case, we should check whether string 1 index comma string 2 index, that is the key of the DP, is already present in the DP. If it is, we can return this. By this step, we are not solving the same problem again and again because we have already stored that result by these, and we are straight away returning that solution to the column. We have simply converted the recursive code to a memoization code. We can test this code and it will still return the same answer, but in this case the time required to return this answer will be very fast. We will see what is the time complexity and the space complexity of all these types of dynamic programming solution at the end. But this dynamic programming has reduced the time complexity a lot. Now, as discussed, we don't need memoization over here because we need to traverse the entire recursion tree. So we can use the tabulation version, which uses iteration as compared to recursion over here, which is more optimized. So we can start writing that code. So we will again define the edit distance, and we don't need any helper function anymore because the tabulation version code uses the DP data structure and the indices inside this as local variables inside this, and as we are using iteration, we do not need to change the function parameters. First, we need to make a DP data structure. Now, instead of making the DP data structure as a dictionary, I will make it as an array or list. So -1 for string to index in range len of string 1 plus 1 for string 1 index in range len of string 2 plus 1. What this will do is, if the length of the string 1 is m and the length of string 2 is n, it will create a m plus 1 cross n plus 1 list of lists, that is two-dimensional list, and all the values will initially be -1. This is a special value, you can put any other value. This is just to check whether we have already solved this or not. This -1 value indicates that this cell is not yet solved and we have not yet solved anything. So initially everything will be -1. Now we can start filling this DP data structure. So I will start a for loop for string 1 index, again in range len of string 1 plus 1, and the second for loop will be same as this. Inside for loop there is string 2's index, so I will copy this. Inside this for loop, what we will do is, first we will check for the base cases. For simplicity, what I can do is I can copy these statements inside this recursive function and paste it over here. Don't worry, we will change this. First we need to fix the indentation like this. So we can convert this entire recursive code into a tabulation code by doing some simple steps. The string 1 index is same because we have kept this loop counters name same as the parameter name, so that way we have reduced some operations. So instead of just returning, we need to store that. String 1 index, string 2 index. This step is similar to what we have done in the memoization code over here, but the data structure used in this was dictionary and we are using list over here. So the indexing is slightly changed, but the concept is same. And instead of returning the value, we can continue, because this is not our final answer. We are just storing that so that we can use this afterwards. And as we have already solved this problem, we can continue with the next problem. Similarly, if string 2 index this base case, I will copy this because we will be needing this. We can store this and again continue. For this string 1, this case will remain the same, but instead of returning, first we will store, and instead of calling this recursive call, we need to find the answer in the DP data structure, and in the tabulation we can be sure that this problem is already been solved and the answer is stored inside the DP data structure. So I will remove this and paste this, and this will be -1 and this will be -1, because in the original recursive case we are subtracting 1 from both these indices. The same will happen over here as well. And again, as we have solved this problem, we can continue. Again, for this case, instead of returning, we can first store that 1 plus minimum, and instead of calling this recursive function, we know what we have to do. This -1, this -1, both -1. This is insert, this is remove, and this is replace. And we have stored this. We do not need to insert the continue keyword because this is the end of the for loop and it will automatically continue. And finally, what we need to return is the final answer, and that will be stored in the length of string1, length of string2. And to again, for the resemblance of this code to this code, this is the actual problem that we returned after all this recursive calls. So the final answer will be stored in these indices, length of string1, length of string2. So in this way we have completed the tabulation code as well. So we can test this. I forgot to write this return statement, and if I run this, it should return the value of 3. Usage of iterative code instead of recursive code has optimized our code a lot, but still we can optimize something over here, and that is the space. Because we are storing entire result, that is m+1 cross n+1, that many answers we are storing. But do we actually need to store these many results? No, because if you see over here, that is what we are using afterwards, that is what stored values we are using. If we can reduce one dimension, we can see for the rows we are just taking values from the previous row, that is string1 index -1 or the same row. So at a time we just need to keep track of 2 rows and not the entire m+1 row like we have done over here. So to optimize this code, first I will copy this so that we have this version of the code intact. So this is the same code. To optimize this for the space complexity, as we have discussed, we just need to keep track of 2 rows, that is the current row and the previous row. So we just need to keep track of 2 rows. So this is the first optimization, but that will mess everything up because the indices are not according to these 2 rows. So we need to tell them how to keep track of the current row and the previous row. For that we can use the modulus operator. So to resolve that, we have to convert all the row indices to its modulus 2. So this string1 index will become string1 index mod 2. This will become string1 index mod 2. This is the index of the string and not the DP data structure, so we do not have to change this. But over here we need to change that mod 2. This entire thing mod 2. Make sure you put the parentheses, and over here You do not need to change any indices of the columns because we have not changed that. We are storing the entire columns, but we have reduced the space for the number of rows. So if we check now, we have put modulus 2 for all the row indices wherever we have seen DP data structure indexing. And finally, while returning also, we need to do modulus of the length so that we can get the correct answer. And if I run this, it will give the same answer, but in this time we have kept track of the least number of rows that we require. And by this code, we have reduced the time complexity because we are using iterative version instead of recursive code, as well as space complexity because we have done this magic of modulus 2 over here. So our problem was such that the entire recursion tree needs to be solved. So the final answer, so if you have to write any code in your actual competitive programming or interview, you need to write this version of the code. I have included these three versions of the code for the purposes of the video, but you can actually skip these all three and start writing this version of the code. And as discussed before, you have to draw the recursion tree first so that you can decide which one of the four versions that we discussed you need to write. So the thumb rule is that you have to write the recursive code if there is no overlapping subproblems as like this, and the entire recursion tree looks different, then you can go with the recursive code. If there is subproblems, overlapping subproblems like this, and your problem has some base cases where the entire recursion tree does not need to be traversed and there are leaf nodes in the middle of the tree, if that makes sense, in that case you can use the memoization version of the code, which is the second code over here. And for all cases where the entire recursion tree needs to be traversed, you can remove the complications of the recursion and use iterative version, that is the tabulation. And to optimize that, for the space complexity, you can use this fourth version. You first need to write this code and see how many previous rows you need to keep track of over here, and then you can convert this code to this code very easily just by changing the row indices and the number of rows that we store. The time complexity of the naive recursive solution is exponential, that is O of 3 raised to m, as we are calling 3 recursive calls for each index in a string of length m, and its space complexity is in order of the height of the recursion tree, that is O of m. The dynamic programming memoization code reduces the time complexity to O of m into n as we eliminate solving overlapping subproblems multiple times. And the space complexity increases to O of m into n as we are storing all solutions in DP data structure. The tabulation code has space and time complexity O of m into n, but it is faster as we are using an iterative approach instead of recursion in memoization. And finally, the space optimization reduces this space complexity to O of n as we are storing constant number of rows, that is 2. The time complexity remains the same, that is O of m into n. If this video has helped you understand the edit distance problem and dynamic programming concepts, please do give this video a like. Comment any feedback that you have for this video or this channel. Share this video with your friends. The code that I write in all my videos of this channel is available in my GitHub profile, whose link is in the description. You can connect to me via LinkedIn, whose link is again in the description. If you want to see a line-by-line explanation of data structures and algorithms like this, check out the playlist over here. If you want to learn Python built-in functions along with various Python features, tips, tricks, and real project examples, then check out the playlist over here. If you want to see a hands-on game development project, check out the playlist over here. And I will see you in the next video.